Hello and welcome to the video on logical reasoning and data interpretation cases. In this series of videos, we'll straight away go into the questions and cases and try them out and see what we can learn from them. So here is case number 1 for you. Right? So hit pause, try the question by yourself and then come to the analysis. Please do try the question. The analysis would make far more sense then, otherwise it might get jumbling and confusing. Right? So good. I hope you tried that. Let's go step by step. Let's see what we can figure out. How will I solve this? What we can learn from this question, right? So I look at, there are 4 sisters, Suvarna, Tara, Uma and Vibha. Write that down, S, T, U and V, right? I also look at the last sentence. It says, at the end of the 4th game, each sister had rupees 32, right? That means S, T, U, V, each has rupees 32 after the 4th game, right? And I can also deduce total money is 128. Now this information wasn't given there, but it is almost like straight away hidden there. Each sister had 32. There are 4 sisters. That means that total money is 32 into 4. That is 128, right? So this is one kind of idea that will play out over and over again in such DI LR questions. The information is there, but it is not explicitly stated. You have to deduce it. So the total money is 128, right? What else is there? I see the loser doubles the money of each other player from her share. That means if I lose the game, I have to double the other player's money. So if the other player, let's say if I'm playing with you and you have 5 rupees, and if I lose the game, I have to double your money. So your 5 will become 10. So that is the game. And the other part is that each sister lost the game in alphabetical order, right? Alphabetical order, S, T, U and V, right? They're already in order. Alphabetical order, the losing of the game. That means the person who's alphabetically last lost the last game. That means V lost the 4th game because she is the 4th in the alphabetical order, right? So I know V lost the 4th game. From where? From the part that each sister lost 1 game in alphabetical order. That means V is the last person to lose, right? The 4th game. And from the first statement that loser doubles the money of each other player, that means V must have doubled the money for S, T and U. And after the doubling, S, T and U have 32, 32, 32. That means before the doubling, they must have had 16, 16, 16. And Vibha, V from her share has doubled their money from 16 to 32, right? So what is Vibha's share? How do I figure that out? So I know S, T and U have 16, 16, 16. There was a total of 128. So Vibha's share would be 128 minus S, T and U, or 128 minus 48, which is 80, right? So I hope this is clear to you and how this logic is working out. Similarly, if you have got this step, that how I got from 32 to 16 and from 32 to 80, then you just have to repeat this step over and over again, carefully paying attention to what is happening. So Vibha lost the 4th game. How did I come to that? From the people, from the sisters losing the game in alphabetical order, right? Therefore, Uma must have lost the 3rd game, right? And Uma must have doubled everybody else's money after the 3rd game. That means that Suvarna, Tara and Vibha's money was doubled. The money was doubled for S, T and V. So if I use the same logic again, S would become 8, T would become 8 and V would become 40, right? Because Vibha was 80 and that was after doubling. That means before doubling it must have been 40. And how do I come to Uma's result? I once again use the total of 128 and from 128 subtract 40 and 8 and 8, or from 128 subtract the values of S, T and V and I'll get the value of U, right? Same logic over and over again. I will leave the working out of logic to you. T lost the 2nd game, money was doubled for S, U and V, and S lost the 1st game and the money was doubled for T, U and V, right? So if I work this out, I will have everybody's money after every situation, right? You can check out the values for yourself. That I do recommend working out the table for yourself if you haven't done so far. Once you figure this out, all the questions can be answered very easily, right? For example, the first question was, how many rupees did Suvarna start with? That means in the beginning of the game. So go to your table. Beginning of the game means bottom of the table, because bottom of the table was the initial status. Then after the first game, second game, third game, fourth game, we are moving up the table. So at the beginning of the game, Suvarna had 66 rupees. I can very clearly see, right? Similarly, question number 2, who started with the lowest amount? This becomes very easy now. The lowest amount person I can very clearly see is Vibha. She started with 10 rupees, right? Question number 3, who started with the highest amount? Again, very easy. Suvarna started with the highest amount, 66 rupees. And what was the amount that Uma had at the end of the second round? So I look at the table, Uma at the end of second round, U after the second game is 72. So my answer would be 72, right? So what can we learn from this question? That all the answers are hidden in the data itself, right? I have to interpret it, reinterpret it, deduce whatever I can, and then using analysis, concentration, peace of mind, a little bit of stamina, work it out. This was a fairly easy set. I hope you did well here, right? Okay, so here is another set. Hit pause and try it out for yourself. By the way, there are 4 questions here. So it's divided into 2 screens. Question number 1 and 2 you can see, and you'll be able to see 3 and 4 soon. So might have to do a little back and forth, but that's because of the space constraint. So 4 questions, try out the case by yourself, figure out the meaning, take your time, and then come to the analysis. Okay, so I hope you did that. You tried the question, you racked your brain about how to do it. So how would I do it? If I look at the questions 1 and 2, it says, which of the following pair of countries are most dissimilar, or which of the following countries is least dissimilar, right? So there is something about dissimilarity. So I look at that statement and it says the level of dissimilarity between 2 countries. So now this is slightly general and vague to me, right? So I should start thinking along with it. So take any 2 countries. For starters, I'll take, let's say, India and China, just to understand the set for myself, right? So it says the level of dissimilarity between 2 countries. To understand, I'm taking India and China. Is the maximum difference in the ranks. So I look at the table, I see India has ranks, right? Rank for C, P, N, V, D. If I look at what are C, P, N, V, D, these are various traits, right? And India has ranked them. Similarly, China has ranked them. So the difference between the ranks allotted by the 2 countries to any of the 5 traits, right? So the maximum difference between ranks, right? So first of all, let me look at any one trait, let's say C, right? And I see what do we mean by the difference in the rank allocated. So if I look at C, India has given it rank 1 and China has given it rank 2, right? So the difference in ranks would be 1, right? But that is not the level of dissimilarity, because the level of dissimilarity, it says, is the maximum difference in any of the ranks. That means I'll have to look at all the ranks. Let me try that out. So if I look at P, I'll have to do it for all the traits. So if I look at trait P, again India has given it rank 2 and China has given it rank 3. So the difference is there is a difference of 1 between the ranks, right? Similarly, if I try for the trait N, India has given it rank 3, China has given it rank 1. The difference between the ranks is 2. So I know between these 3 traits so far, 2 is the maximum difference. Let me try out for the other traits also. V, again the difference is 1. By now, if I have tried out it a couple of times, I should be able to see that it's only a matter of difference. I can spot it visually. So again, the difference is 1. And for D also, the difference is 1. So if I look at India and China, the maximum difference is for trait N, which is not important, but that is the maximum difference between the ranks for any trait, and therefore it is the level of dissimilarity. So the level of dissimilarity for India and China would be 2. If you have understood this all of these questions can be solved fairly easily, and if you have spotted the pattern that it is essentially about the visual difference between any of the ranks, right, and the maximum difference, right, then you can do it very, very quickly also. Another observation would be that the maximum difference possible is only 4, right, because the best case scenario for the ranks is that one country would give it rank 1 and the other country would give it rank 5. That's the maximum far apart they can go. So the maximum level of dissimilarity between any country is 4, and that would be when the same trait is given rank 1 by one country and given rank 5 by another country. For example, between Japan and Thailand, or let's say between China and Malaysia, I see that the trait N, right, and has been given rank 1 by China and given rank 5 by Malaysia. So the level of dissimilarity cannot be more than this, right? So I did not even have to find out the other values. I can straight away see that the dissimilarity level between China and Malaysia would be 4, right? So after this, the set becomes fairly visual to solve. You don't have to do any calculations as such. Just look at the question and try it out, right? Okay, so question number 1. Which of the following pair of countries are most dissimilar? Before trying out the options, I see that between Japan and Thailand, D and the trait D has been given rank 1 by Japan and given rank 5 by Thailand. So the dissimilarity level between Japan and Thailand is 4, which I also know is the maximum level of dissimilarity, right? So therefore my answer would be Thailand and Japan. For this question, I did not even have to try out all the options. If I had just noticed that, right? Now I could be scared and I could be trying out all the options, which would not hurt me also, because there are other questions too, right? So even if I work this out, all of the information will be useful because I'm looking at the data over and over again. And as I spend more time with it, my observations about it will improve, right? So question number 1 is fairly easy. Answer is Thailand and Japan. You can also work out all the other values for yourself. Question number 2. Which of the following countries is least dissimilar to India? China, Japan, Malaysia, Thailand, right? So let me work out the values. So between India and China, the level of dissimilarity we already worked out is 2. Or all I had to do is compare India and China and find out which letters or which particular trait is the farthest apart from each other, and that would be my level of dissimilarity, right? So difference between N and N is 3 minus 1 and therefore 2. So dissimilarity level of India and China is 2. Similarly, can I work out the dissimilarity level between India and Japan? I can see very quickly rank 1 is given, D is given rank 1 by Japan and rank 5 by India. So the level of dissimilarity straight away becomes 4, right? And it cannot be more than this. So therefore that is my answer for Japan. So India, Japan dissimilarity level is 4. Can I work it out for Malaysia? Yeah. The trait C, ranked 1 by India and ranked 4. Therefore, the level of dissimilarity is 3. Right? And similarly for Thailand, I can work it out. But now my question is not what is the value, but which country is least dissimilar to India, right? So obviously my answer would be China, because the level of dissimilarity is only 2. So that's the least difference. All the other countries are more than China. And the very next question was, which of the following countries is most dissimilar to India? So if I have worked out this question, I can work out the other question also. Most dissimilar to India would be obviously Japan, because the level of dissimilarity there is 4. right? So fairly easy. It might look scary in the beginning, and often times you just might get out of breath and confused about what is going on. But if you take your time, breathe calmly, read all the information, a lot of time these questions are fairly straightforward. Of course, there will be difficult questions also, but that is what a lot of exam strategy is about, finding out the easy questions, trying them out, and ignoring or bypassing the difficult ones, right? Question number 4. Three of the following pairs of countries have identical level of dissimilarity. Which pair is the odd one out, right? So let me find out the level of dissimilarity for each of the options. Three of them will have the same level of dissimilarity. One of them will not have that level of dissimilarity, right? So let me try it out. First is Malaysia and China. So if I look at Malaysia and China, straight away I can see Malaysia and China is pretty straightforward. The trait N has rank 1 for China and rank 5 for Malaysia. So straight away level of dissimilarity of China and Malaysia is 4. China and Thailand. If I look at China and Thailand, again trait V, rank 1 by Thailand and rank 5. Straight away the difference is 4. Maximum level of dissimilarity is 4. So China and Thailand, again the level of dissimilarity is 4. Thailand and Japan, again now by this time I should be guessing if it's 4 or not. So if I look at Japan, we've already done this actually, D and D, the difference is 4. So Thailand and Japan also the level of dissimilarity is 4. Now again using logic, I know 3 options are 4. Obviously the 4th option must be the odd pair out. I will not work out the value. Even without working out the value, I know the answer is Japan and Malaysia, right? So pretty easy, straightforward. Lot of it might look scary, right? And lot of times you might start thinking extra and might start thinking, oh my God, how many steps will it take? So it's better to just try it out, try out a few steps, see if it's working out, and move along in the questions, right? The lessons from trying out these couple of sets would be that the logic and the data is all there in the information given, right? So if I read it carefully and connect it, interpret it all, the questions or most questions are going to be fairly straightforward, right? So we will try more sets and we'll try and learn more from them. This is another set for you. This will be analyzed in the next video. Try out the questions. There are 3 or 4 questions. This is slightly bigger. So read the information carefully and then try it out and then we'll analyze it, right? So I hope this made sense. The idea in this series of videos is just to try out a lot of DI and LR questions, because that is the best way of learning this particular subject, because it is a combination of reading, basic logic, some basic mathematics, and whatever trickery is happening in the particular question. So there is no formula, there is no theorem. The form or the theorem comes from the question itself. So that is the summary, or that is the core idea that we can take from this video at least, right? So that's it for this session. In the next session, we'll start with this set and try out more sets. Hope you had fun. See you soon.